I'm looking through our YouTube views, with like the original Bob and Kevin show, and some of these are just downright neglected. Nobody likes us on YouTube, Bob.
Well, I mean, we're not really promoting that channel, but it is kind of interesting though that some. Whoa! Why? Oh, that's episode 14. I was like, why is that one showing? Oh, this is so funny. Yeah, first of all, the channel's not maintained at all, so that's a problem.
Well, there's that, but I mean, some of these episodes just, never got into the 50s. Speaking of which, we just probably released episode 50 recently.
Well, hopefully you're going to listen to episode 51 after episode 50. I probably won't release episode 51 until after episode 50 has been released.
Yeah, so I think that'll take care of itself. So, maybe, I don't know, what do you want to do for this episode? Do we want to talk about anything current, or we just want to jump in and reflect?
Well, I think there has been some odd stuff going on out there, right?
Yeah. Facebook, I think since our last get-together, I don't know if we talked about it last episode or not, but there's kind of like new revelations, Cambridge Analytica style, that, more developers had access to data than we originally planned, right?
Yeah, and they're crying that it was never their intention to monitor what other developers were doing with the data. It just seems like such a cop-out.
That's crazy. And then we have the whole Mark Zuckerberg recordings where he's allegedly afraid. Well, we should be afraid or whatever he says if Elizabeth Warren gets elected, right?
Yeah, I think we're going to do that one as its own little fun episode because I think that those sound bites are public domain. So I think I would like to break down that one by one. So maybe that's a future episode.
Yeah, because I think the gist is he wants to sue the government, basically, if that happens. So
he wants to sue them, but he's also went on the record begging for the government to regulate him, right?
I think he is much like our current state of politics, where he will say what he needs to get through the moment, and no more, no less.
I'm trying to get your levels up here. For those listening at home, I don't think we mentioned that we are broadcasting from the same, or we're recording, not broadcasting, in the same room for the first time ever.
Ever. So we are coming to you recorded instead of live from Boulder, Colorado. We have the, the Front Range? Is that what it's called, Bob?
Yes.
Just outside here?
The Flatirons, yes. The Flatirons and the Front Range. Flatirons are just part of the Front Range.
So we've been through 50-plus episodes on the podcast, and I was always going to look how many episodes we ever did on YouTube before we said F that.
I think it's in the 30s. It's kind of scary.
Yeah.
And sad.
What's weird is we've never been in the same room for any of those YouTube episodes or any podcast episodes.
Yeah, well over a year of doing this.
Until today.
Yes.
Right now.
Well over a year, though.
And that's interesting. We have if we could paint a picture for the casual listener, we have a very Joe Rogan setup. Bob is directly across from me. We've got some gear in the middle. We're both rocking the headphones. Bob's doing his usual tweaking of the knobs to dial in the audio just right. So it's kind of a different experience. It almost feels like a real podcast.
It does. Maybe we've grown up after. I mean, we really have been going at this. I know we did a New Year's Day episode. Was that our second or third YouTube episode?
I think we started in November of 2017-ish.
Black Friday.
Yeah.
Black Friday was the first. So right around Thanksgiving then. No, Cyber Monday.
Yeah, right in that general area, I think, is when we did the YouTube thing. Ooh, well, I'm thinking about it. If you've ever watched the YouTube episodes of the Bob and Kevin Show, and I'm actually not advocating that you do, but if you happen to.
Hey, now I have some favorites. We'll mention those.
Not only can you see what we sort of used to look like, I have no idea. Yeah, we look a little different now. Different facial hair. And anyway, we do some different things in these episodes, and one of the things that was our common trope was Bob would say,
"Hey, Kevin, what are we doing today?"
No, not that one, Bob.
Damn it. Oh, bring the lightning?
Thank you.
Well, I only have two catchphrases. So.
Right. So Maybe we should take the time.
Thank God Showbot didn't cue the music then.
Maybe we should take the time to explain what the hell Bring the Lightning is, Bob.
Well, I don't know even what the hell Bring the Lightning is. Kevin and I had a lot of fun doing our own video transitions, our own graphics for that show, and our logo at the time. So Bob and Kevin show logo V1. Was that the V1 logo? That was the shield?
Yes.
Yeah. So we had the BK shield. I think it was a BK shield. And we were looking for cool stinger stuff to do with the logo, or I was when I was bored. And I thought that this cool lightning effect where lightning came down from the top of the screen and illuminated the logo on a silhouette, like it was just really dark and there's clouds. I was pretty happy with the whole effect. But anyway, it had lightning, and I guess that's how Bring the Lightning was born.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really cool effect, but, if you were to just drop in on our podcast and at the end, you're always like, why are they saying Bring the Lightning? What does it got to do with lightning? So it's kind of one of those weird thingamabobbers. So
if you are listening today and you want to hit us up on the tweeters, or, I don't know, you can get in touch with us so many different ways.
Hey, have you ever wondered how you can get in touch with us at the Bob and Kevin Show?
Well, first, you can try us via email at comments@bobandkevinshow.com.
Or are you more into social? If so, you can find us on Twitter at Bob and Kevin Show.
Or on Instagram as Bob N. Kevin Show.
That's Bob, the letter N, Kevin Show.
And if you're still on Facebook, you can even find us at facebook.com/Bob and Kevin Show.
And for the serious business fans, you can even find us on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/company/the-Bob-Kevin-show.
How's that for a handle? Let's connect. But if you want to reach out to us, tell us whether we should just ditch Bring the Lightning or not.
Yeah, so, it's just one of those weird things. Other catchphrases we have, as you mentioned. Hey, what are we doing today, Bob? Or Kevin.
Fill in the blank.
Exactly. So now that we've crossed 50 episodes, what's your feeling? Was it a good move to get away from YouTube or not?
Oh, 100%. I like this audio gig way better than the video was a lot of work.
Yeah, and a lot of people probably can't casually watch video as easy. So you can run, jog, drive a car, and listen to a podcast, where if you introduce video, you can rip the audio from that too. But we were very much into, hey, look at this. Hey, look at this, drawing your attention, right?
Yeah, we did have a lot of visuals in the whole doing it live. That was pretty hilarious. And we do have an ongoing debate about doing this thing live maybe one day for fun, but haven't quite pulled the trigger on scheduling that yet. But yeah, super glad. How about you? Were you glad we got away from the old YouTubes?
100%. We're at a employee company retreat this weekend, which is my reason for being in the Colorados, or whatever you guys call it here. And I had mentioned that, we were on YouTube, then we got banned, then we went podcast. Of course, if you just leave it like that, it sounds like we did something wrong. Of course, we didn't, in my opinion, and we were later vindicated because YouTube pretty much said, oh yeah, you can have everything back, but it took about 90 days or however long it was, and it kind of ruins the mojo of a live streaming television show. Thank you, YouTube.
Completely ruins it. We did do one or two episodes that we did intentionally as pre-recorded because we were in timeout. We were in live stream timeout.
Yes.
But I think that the episode that broke the camel's back is actually one of my favorite episodes of all time, was that the nosedive recap.
Which is Black Mirror.
Black Mirror nosedive, yep.
And that was a good episode. And we didn't even have the audio. And we got shut down midstream, right? That was really...
That was
really
one,
strange.
yeah. We got yanked in the middle of that one. Actually, early. I think we got yanked from the live stream. We kept rolling, and we did put it up, and then we got dinged.
Yeah.
And we disputed.
And Netflix is like, yeah, whatever, it's cool. And YouTube's like, okay, got it. And then they sat on their hands.
Yeah, then they let the clock tick for the rest of the timeout.
They're like, you're not in trouble, but we're not going to undo the punishment.
Yeah, I took it on as like a part-time job to nag the shit out of them too. So
yeah, I mean, I get the sheer volume of videos that they've got to police and the amount of legal liability and yada, yada, yada. But come on. I mean, even Joe Rogan. We're listening to Joe Rogan today with more aliens, and he's even kind of like, whoa, be careful. YouTube doesn't like XYZ. They could ban us or whatever. And
he has a serious lifestyle that he's grown accustomed to, and I think his YouTube money is a big part of that.
Yeah, I think we would probably be equally as cautious if we were monetizing on said things. But that's another nice thing of being on a podcast. You're kind of syndicated on so many platforms. To get completely banned, it would be very difficult.
Oh, I thought another nice thing about podcasting is we never have to worry about the money because there's just not enough volume.
Well, there's that too. And I tweeted on the show handle recently that it's kind of a thing. Our show premise is to pretty much say how we feel, whether it's right or wrong, and we don't really shill or kowtow to a sponsor or anything like that.
The thoughts and opinions of Bob and Kevin
of the Bob and Kevin Show are exclusively the thoughts of
Bob and Kevin and not the thoughts of their employers.
Past, present, and probably not future.
If you'd like to be a sponsor, get a hold of Bob at bobandkevinshow.com. So that's a really nice thing about this. And we've done 50 episodes. And do you have a favorite that we've done so far, Bob?
Oh, Jesus. I have one that's definitely not my favorite, just because, I don't know, it's the hipster thing for me to do, to not like something that's popular. Our Aliens episode is by far our most popular, and it's become my least favorite because of that one. We've had some really good ones, and I'm not really thinking of many of them off the top of my head, but I guess I could pull up the internet here, and the recent ones, I think we're definitely hitting our stride better in covering controversial topics. But I don't know. I liked so many of them. I think our Cambridge Analytica, The Great Hack 044, is definitely up there for me for a favorite. How about you?
Well, that one for me kind of validates some of the things we've ever talked about, because at some point you're like, okay, there's these two guys just talking about all these things that air quotes might be happening, and then The Great Hack comes out, and there's a lot of strong evidence that Facebook is just got no control, and that's kind of a common thing of the show. And then I think one of my other favorite ones. Can I pick three?
Yeah, okay? Yeah. There's no rules here.
The Matrix, Enter the Matrix 046. That's one of my favorite because the simulation argument is just really fascinating to me, and it's really kind of scary and awesome at the same time.
Oh, I have another one. Can I jump in?
Yes.
036, The Great AI Debate. And I bet you that's actually in one of your... That wasn't in your top third?
I haven't scrolled down that far because I'm picking these as I scroll.
So I think that this episode, 036, is probably where we really kind of blossomed into we got more comfortable in our own skin doing this, I think, because we did bring out a lot of fact in that episode, but we also tons of speculation and opinion, and it just was such a fun episode to record.
Yeah, because it was pretty much plead your case type thing, and that was a really, oh my gosh, as I scroll, episode 30, Ethics of Encryption and Backdoors.
Oh, that was also a really
good one. That was a really good one. And that's also another one where we decided, sometimes it's good to do a reaction show to another podcast, which sounds blasphemous, but it's totally working.
Devin Cow is pretty good too. God, all right. So looking back, I've always been pretty proud of this, but I'm actually more proud of it looking back.
All right, let's rewind episode 1. Have you ever listened to episode 1 recently?
No. I know we've talked about. I've watched episode 1 of the YouTube show.
No. Oh well, I don't recommend that.
I think
one.
you ambushed me for that episode. Just
yes,
for the record,
totally did, and we're still going, which is even funnier. So yeah, I ambushed Bob in winter or late fall 2017. I'm like, hey, let's do that show we've been talking about.
I tested. He goes, I'm trying out this new software. Ready? 3, 2, 1. We're live.
It was just I think it was just YouTube.
Oh, that's right. That was actually
stream.
Hangouts.
Yeah, exactly. Or you're right, Hangout. And then episode 1 of the podcast, I was like, oh man. if somebody listens to our podcast right now, what is episode 1 going to give the impression? Will they even listen to episode 2? And sure enough, I think it holds up pretty darn well. Bob, what are we doing today?
We're talking about why we left YouTube and started this podcast thing. We're going to take a look at, talk about some of that Facebook trial stuff. Apparently, Twitter has all of our passwords. We'll probably talk about that a little bit. And maybe talk about how the USA is going to figure out if we can even handle the mind-blowing concept of GDPR. So I think that gives us a pretty good platform to start. And with that, how's it going, Kevin?
It is a wonderful Saturday, May the 5th. Today is also known as the day after Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you, belated. And it's also Cinco de Mayo. So happy Cinco de Mayo to you.
Yeah, I'm looking at the analytics, or I have looked at the analytics. I can't remember the last time somebody listened to episode 1.
Well, there's that.
They definitely, I mean, it's so funny in the podcast world. I think that they, for the most part, episodes have a pretty short shelf life.
Yeah. So we've always talked about evergreen versus current events. You certainly get, I think, a stronger pop for a shorter amount of time, a bigger bang, but that fizzles really quick on current events. But if you talk about evergreen things, it tends to go longer. So if we were to have an episode about open source software or can you make money here, some very kind of what I would consider very safe topics, we would probably have some steady, listens in there over time, as opposed to, hey, did you hear what Mark Zuckerberg did last week? It's kind of like, oh, well, that was 2 years ago,
Yeah, I mean, there's so many lessons learned because we were super, everything was hot off the presses when we did the YouTube show. And I think we have started to get into broader, more evergreen topics with the podcast.
Yeah. We've talked about, we've defined something called the Tupperware party. And the Tupperware party, for anyone listening, is basically your friends and your family. So imagine you're selling Tupperware.
And don't get it twisted. We love our Tupperware party friends.
That's right. We do. But we feel like if we were to ask them to listen to our show, they would tell us, oh, yes, I would definitely listen. And they may do a token listen. And they may listen over time. But you cap out at your 20 listens per episode or something like that. And so what we've always talked about is to break out of the Tupperware party. And if you've never met Bob and Kevin, you are actually the ideal listener.
Yes. Because we know what the tight circle is, and we're actually pulling the curtain back pretty heavy here talking about some of these numbers. But, for people who don't know us, we've picked up listens every state in the union except for
Arkansas.
What the hell is wrong with you, Arkansas? If there's anybody out there who's got a grandmother or aunt or, second cousin twice removed who lives in Arkansas, who also maybe lives in the same house as you, just have them give it a listen. or somebody use a VPN and say that they're from Arkansas via VPN, because we just want to get that one Arkansas download. Is that too much to ask for?
No, it's not at all. What might be too much to ask for is we have the issue of guests. And so I'm looking at episode 004 with Mr. Tom Clark, comedian.
That actually was one of my favorites, too. God, so many.
And having Tom on was great. What is difficult, though, is a guest of any kind because of a little bit of audiophile divaness by both of us. Not just Bob. Bob started. I blame Bob for recruiting me. So
it took a long time to get you to care about that aspect of the show. But we should actually reach out to Tom and bust his balls, because he has his own podcast now. It's the I'm a Rescue podcast, and it's doing really well. I've talked to him a little bit, but he has a guest on for every one of the episodes. And I keep meaning to ask him what his pain points have been with guests, because I guarantee he was definitely all of those pain points when he was a guest on our show.
So ideally, having a guest in the same physical room is the best, right? Because there's no internet connection.
110%.
You can read each other, all kinds of great stuff. But since Bob and I are now, or formerly a couple hundred miles away, now at least 1,000 miles away, we still rely on that internet, which I'm expecting to take off one of these days. Internet it sounds awesome. It'll be great, I think.
The video aspect, I think, there's so many lessons that we've learned through 50 episodes of this, 30 episodes plus of the video show. And I'm glad that we kept the video aspect. Except for sometimes we have to shut it down when bandwidth gets tight. But the video aspect keeps it at least pretending like we're in the same room.
Yeah, people were also asking me how do we do it. So more secret sauce. We've probably talked about this on yet another podcast episode here.
Podcast on podcasting.
There you go. So Bob and I are doing a video chat so we can see each other, and we're recording locally because that's where the best audio is, not that compressed audio stuffs.
True or false? Help me remember here. We really started this whole thing because we would laugh so much when we were just doing like bullshit hangouts during the day, and I would say, God, this would make great radio.
It would, and that is 100% true, and basically that's the show premise in a nutshell. Two dudes bullshitting about tech, no more, no less, and that's basically all you get on the show, except you no longer get guests. So
we had to edit the show bumper based on that because it said oftentimes more than not with a guest. And so we just lopped that part off. You are listening to the Bob and Kevin Show with Bob Beattybar
and Kevin Gishesky. Each week we cover relevant tech and social issues related to technology.
Our website is bobandkevin.show.
And our episodes can be found virtually on any podcast network.
Be sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
Just search for Bob and Kevin Show.
And I live in very rural America, so my bandwidth is so sketchy as it is. Trying to have a third or fourth person on there is tough. So maybe one day we'll figure out the secret sauce there. Bob lives in a very hipster town, so he's probably got access to A-list tech people, where not so much for me.
Except I'm becoming more of an introvert as I age, so I'm not really meeting people here.
Wow, I'm trying to think. When's the last time we had a guest? And we were having them through episode 8, episode 9.
Was Tom the last one?
No, it looks like perhaps Kyle Weems. Nope. Andrew Barta, Andrew, you ruined it for everyone. No,
Andrew was the last?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, he was a fun one. I think he lost internet a few times.
Yeah.
that was a fun one.
No dig on you, Andrew. No. You were just the straw that broke the camel's back. Broke the camel's back.
So another thing we started doing is at some point I decided, hey man, can I draw the cover art for the show? Because I don't know, why not? And so,
well, it's because we did those pictures and you probably thought they were so stupid, so you decided you wanted to draw it.
You mean like hey Kevin, stand and take a picture like this
yes.
and send it to me, and Bob cuts me out. And
he got tired of me art directing them, so he was like, but I would say hindsight 2020, one of the best upgrades to the show visually was going with the hand-drawn art.
Oh,
I think it keeps it real.
Yeah, for sure. And Andrew Barr, just so you know, you were not the last guest. Perhaps it was Sir Richard Terrace.
Oh. Well, he had pretty good internet for that, I think.
Yeah, he did.
I don't think we dropped.
Nope.
So inquiring minds want to know why Richard was the last one.
No, it's just logistics. It's so hard.
I think we were just trying to one last hurrah to see if we really liked it, and it was too hard to juggle.
So if you'd like to sponsor the Bob and Kevin Show so we can fly Kevin into Boulder weekly and fly a guest from any location around the world to Boulder so we can do this as looks like a rectangle table instead of a round table discussion, let us know.
Well, no, if we get some sponsors, maybe we get a better table too. But yeah, I mean, that's always been the dream. It's not to make a jagillion dollars. Wow. Jagillion, whichever one's higher. It wasn't the goal to do that, but it would be nice to have some play money to expand some of the. You know what else we've never done yet that we said we were going to do?
What?
We haven't done the crossover episode with the Brothers Weems.
Oh yeah, we need to do the
Stardate supplemental
yes.
Bob and Kevin Show mashup.
Yes, we do need to do that. Are you listening out there, Weems brothers?
Yes, we're 22 minutes in, so hopefully you've made it this far. But yes, we still need to get that on the books.
So, episode 42, Bob. Do you remember what episode 42 was?
It wasn't that long ago. It was only 8 episodes ago, so that means it could be anywhere between 8 and 16 weeks for us. It could have been during moving time.
2 words. Bob Lazar.
Oh, God. That's why I'm blocking it. It's the Aliens episode.
What do we know about gravity?
Oh, good. I'm glad you're going to start there. Actually, one of the things that he pointed out, which I didn't really understand or know, is that it's actually been in the relatively recent past, that we actually discovered the true wave nature of gravity.
Yeah. So is it a particle? Is it a wave? Is it a particle? Is it a wave? And I believe the current theory is gravity is a wave. We've claimed to be able to detect gravitational waves here on Earth when 2 black holes merge and bang into each other, for lack of a better term. Dang. Then we can feel those waves here, and some say we can also possibly hear or detect waves from the original Big Bang as well. But I digress. Continue.
I'm continuing about gravity.
So what do we know about gravity, Bob?
So apparently you motherfuckers really like aliens. Because far and away, not even in the same solar system for analytics, aliens is running away with it, right?
Yeah, so not only are we in the same room podcasting today, we actually got to work in the same room all day, which was really kind of fun. I'm really going to be sad when you go back home. But we listened to one of the latest Joe Rogan episodes today, and it was another one about aliens, but it was released a couple days ago. And of course, our damn aliens episode has had a spike in the last 24 hours. So we must have good SEO for that one. That's what I'm guessing.
I would think so. And let me tell you, I'm struggling right now trying not to go into a bunch of discussion about aliens after listening to that today. But
nope, we'll do that as a recap after the next episode, because we do, for the first time ever, I think we have 2 episodes planned, this one and another one. So
yeah,
we're going to actually record back-to-back days because we're in the same location, and we've got a real treat for you tomorrow.
Ooh, foreshadowing. I like it.
Yes.
So what was the toughest topic you think we've done so far, Bob?
Oh, 100% by far, and I don't even want to dig back into this one. Toughest topic by far was the concept of diversity, not just in tech, but diversity in general throughout business. Thank goodness I've already dropped in the disclaimer at this point, because I'd have to drop it in again. But yeah, that one by far. How about you?
Oh, yeah, I can't talk you out of that one. That one is such a tough topic. And the world and just watching the news and scrolling through Twitter, there's just so much strong opinion, and defining what right looks like was so difficult. It's still difficult, and it's still undefined in my opinion. And let's move on.
Well, yes, but I do want to say that, something that you said, I think it was off air, completely resonated with me. It was, you said, diversity is definitely in the eyes of the beholder. And I think that is so true. And that beholder could be an individual. That beholder could be a group. That beholder could be an organization, could be a corporation. I mean, it's just so hard to have it defined.
It's easy to spot out diversity being wrong. And again, it's through your own lens. But even if you could define what diversity looks like correctly, it's still through your lens, because put somebody else's lens and go, hey, this is the right answer, right? And they put on their spectacles and, well, not so much. I doubt it.
Well, let's riff off that question. So is there an episode that we've done that you felt like maybe we shouldn't have published?
Yes, it was the episode that we didn't publish. I have
a shocked look on my face because I'm usually pretty on top of this. So we have one that we didn't publish.
We recorded and I asked you to delete it.
I thought that was my podcast.
No, that was
us.
That was this one.
Which one was that? Encryption?
It was Encryption version 1.
Oh, that's right.
And the reason I asked Bob to remove it is because we got into very deep discussion about military encryption and whatnot. And I decided I don't want to get in trouble. So,
and was it that combined with a side project that you were working on, an open source?
It was, and I engaged the government about questions about legalities and stuff. Never got anything back. Then I was like, gosh, I don't want the FBI with black helicopters beating down my door because of a podcast episode.
I think you made me delete the files off. Now this is coming back to me. You made me delete the files off of Dropbox and my hard drive. And I think I honored it. What a good guy.
Yeah, what a good guy he is. You hear that, Mark Zuckerberg? See how easy that was?
I had a friend ask to remove his data. I removed his data, even though I partially owned it, and we're all good. Wow, I forgot about that.
Yeah, and that was
All right, so other than that episode, is there one that we actually published that, oh my gosh, that's so funny?
Okay, so if I can't pick that one, the answer is no, because we do tough topics. Even if we get it right, get it wrong, and we talk through it, I think long form, getting through discussions is better than nothing. So diversity was tough, but I wouldn't say, no, let's not do it. Sex tech, oh, that sounds juicy, but man, I thought we were going to giggle the whole time, but I thought it was very actually
There was a little bit of giggling.
A little bit.
Not going to lie, but yeah, no, that one turned out to be really good. I was a little leery of the gun tech one. What was that, 045?
Which aspect exactly were you worried about? Gun people?
I think I was
Second
more.
Amendment?
I was much more worried before we recorded. See, that's another interesting thing about doing this too. There's some topics where you're just like, I don't know how this is going to go. I don't know if this is going to be printable. So I was really leery before we started that one. But by the time we were done recording it, I was like, yeah, this one turned out really well.
Speaking of one, I thought we both finished the episode and we're like, well, that was shitty. Was number 039, Technology on the Moon. Turns out
Number 2 episode.
Turns out that one's really popular too. So we now have rockets that are reusable. In fact, SpaceX landed a Falcon 9 booster today, I believe, successfully. They
landed all 3 of them about a month ago, didn't they? Like all 3 landed?
On heavy, but today it was just a Falcon 9, which is a single booster. So what kind of technology do you think would exist on a moon colony that, is kind of maybe present today or maybe is not yet? Like, does social media change from the moon? Or is it just like pictures of the Earth, like the Earth rise, as they say?
No, I think that would be a critical part with the moon colonization having to be so small that they would be connected to, Earth social media would still be a massive thing for them. They probably wouldn't have so much like moon social media, but they would be definitely connected to what's going on here at the mothership.
You'd be like, hey, chill. We have no idea what we're doing.
Yeah. And that's the whole interesting topic. Luckily we're not trying to make $1 million doing this because we haven't figured out the SEO game. Like, there's some episodes where we have minimal show notes, minimal title stuff, and they do pretty well. And then there's other episodes where we have a bunch of stuff that you think, oh gosh, that's totally going to get search eyes, that's going to get clicks, and like a big wah, wah, wah.
What about Showbot? Was Showbot good, bad? Does he need to go away? Is it wrong that I call him a he, apply pronouns?
Oh, God. Ding. Money in the bucket again. Yeah, Showbot. Actually, looking back on 50 episodes, I thought we were going to have a lot more instances of Showbot type ambitions. Like, Showbot was something, we talk about AI all the time. We talk about voice tech. We talk about, Internet of Things. We talk about all these different things. And so Showbot seemed like a really, great idea, but super ambitious. And I can't really contribute shit to that project because, some people might say this is imposter syndrome, but it's the 100% truth. I don't know jack when it comes to this kind of stuff. So it really fell on Kevin to execute. And it's just another big thing to add to the list. But I'm actually happy that that's the only one of those that we have,
You know what episode I'm most proud of? I'm like, fuck yeah. We were on it early. Can you guess?
On it early. Bob and Kevin leave YouTube to start a podcast?
Definitely. If we were on it early, we wouldn't have been on YouTube. No, I'll help you out. It's episode 040. Facebook introduces Libra cryptocurrency.
Oh, that one was a good one. What makes you so proud of that one?
Because I think we had pretty strong gut reactions to it. And then in the days following, we were validated-ish or confirmation bias by other media outlets are like, what the fuck is this?
I think that brings up a really great topic of conversation that we mention a lot, and I think it needs to be said here, is that, I think it was affirmation, confirmation. I don't think it was bias. I think it was totally legitimizing, and we've had this happen week after week where we will take on a topic that the mainstream or lamestream media, whichever side you come from.
Sound like a right-wing pundit right now.
But we're usually a couple days out front of them. Like sometimes when we're editing an episode, the mainstream media or the news picks a topic up that we've been, just recorded, or like a handful of days after the fact. And so we digitally high-five each other over Slack, and then we kind of move on. But I'm actually really proud of that aspect of the podcast, without a doubt.
So, Bob, can you guess the number one market for the Bob and Kevin show?
Do you mean
worldwide?
geographic market?
Geographically.
Are we talking continent or country or state or?
Give me an answer, Bob.
Well, I think we're the most popular in the U.S.
That's correct.
Overall, and if I had to think about the U.S., are we the most popular in Illinois?
No. If we break it down, because I've got these handy dandy stats right here, Illinois is number 2. You want to take another guess at number uno?
California,
Yes, sir.
the 6th largest economy on the planet, so they should be their own country.
California, Illinois, Virginia, Pennsylvania, New York. You are tops, and fuck you, Arkansas, because you're still
Are they still
goose egg.
zero?
Yes.
I was hoping maybe I was wrong, but I knew you would pull that up and verify.
Oh wait, Vermont. Vermont's a goose egg too. We have 2 states.
Oh, I didn't realize that. I must not have zoomed in
I
far
think
enough.
Bernie needs a phone call from you, Bob.
He's recovering right now. We'll give him some time to be with his family.
That's true. All right, so if we go outside of America, can you guess the number 2 market for nonstop Bob and Kevin show talk?
I'm going to go with this soon-to-be Brexited United Kingdom.
That is correct. But hot on the heels in 3rd and 4th place, so they're very close.
Wait, 2 countries occupy 3rd and 4th?
No, but 3rd and 4th are vying for 3rd place right now, and that would be Canada and Australia.
Oh, we're bigger in Australia than we are in Denmark?
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, actually.
Oh, yeah. Denmark, I don't know what you guys are doing over there, playing with Legos or something. But you're definitely not listening to Bob and Kevin as much. So, I like Legos, by the way. That wasn't a dig. So anyway, I'm not sure how you're getting to the Bob and Kevin show, and you may have realized at this point, what the hell is this episode? Or you've maybe had that thought. We're just looking back on 50 episodes going, holy crap, Bob hasn't killed Kevin yet. They finally got together in a room. They're really doing this. Longevity. Apparently 7 episodes is like the breaking point. If you make it more than 7, you're good.
We just read an article about that a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. So looks like you like to listen to us on Spotify and or Apple Podcasts, and then there's everything else.
Spotify has definitely had a resurgence, and I think a lot of those Spotify listens, unfortunately, are 042, which is aliens.
So we talk about a lot of topics, aliens, AI, phones, computers, programming, social media.
Are you reading this sidebar of all the different?
No, I should, though, because that would be ways. I'm reading our top episodes, like scanning it, IoT. So let me ask you this, Bob. What's your favorite topic?
Oh, boy. I think AI is still definitely my favorite topic because I think it's a never-ending debate. Also, why it's one of my favorite episodes was the great AI debate. That was 030?
No, that
Damn
was
it.
encryption. The great AI debate was 036.
036. I knew it.
Yes, there's a test after this, just so you know.
But, the ultimate goal is for those of you that are new to the show and haven't necessarily listened to some of these all-time favorites of ours, is go back and check them out.
So I'm conflicted here. Do we continue talking about what we'd like to talk about, or do we look at these analytics and go, we need to talk about more aliens?
I think if we were going the sucker play and we wanted to try to eventually get paid, we would talk about aliens and moon technology and going to Mars. We haven't talked about going to Mars, have we?
We kind of digressed a little bit in the moon tech, but we should talk about Mars probably a little more.
Maybe the Stardate Sup mashup will be a giant one because I think the premise is we're going to talk the tech of Star Trek, right?
And I think the way we've pitched it is, like you've got the tricorder, and you've got the this notepad, and you've
show
got
content.
You've got these things that have now actually manifested many years later into real usable technology, and so that's part of it. And then I'm sure we can talk about colonizing and things of that nature.
Those two guys have actually achieved. I haven't heard the results or how they feel about it. I don't think. I've been pretty busy lately, but they did a live show.
And I'm totally envious.
Yeah,
so you know.
no. So they, huge shout out to Stardate Supplemental. Big fans here in this room, but we're totally envious that you all had the opportunity to do a live show.
And I'm tracking the third plug for the Bob and Kevin show. If you'd like to have Bob and Kevin do a live remote from your conference, from your backyard, from the moon, let us know. Get in touch.
Yeah, what would that conference be? That's a good.
I think a CES, like I think you mentioned, would be good. I think an MS Build would be good. Maybe a South by Southwest.
Actually, I wonder how we get. I bet you we have to pay to get into those places, don't we?
Well, yes, our many dozens of downloads are definitely not impressive. I think you're right.
But we could totally just say, check out episode, the aliens episode. That's fairly representative of our download counts.
Oh shit! Maybe we need to find like an alien convention, and we might find.
You might be onto
there.
something there. You might be onto something.
Man, aliens.
So, any giant regret thus far?
No, but means of improvement. I'd like to be more consistent on our releases. Oh, and our failed Alexa. Let's do Alexa. Yeah. Rah, rah, rah.
Oh, shit.
1 week later, yeah, we're done.
So we do have two show bots. Our first very ambitious endeavor was to do a flash briefing. And this is kind of, I think, when we were a little bit more focused on headlines. And it was kind of a cool concept. But I will tell you, doing this conversation thing in a podcast, way, way easier than trying to play news anchor in a 3-minute slot.
I tried to do, it's called no pants programming. Apparently the British people giggle because that means no underwear programming.
Same.
And it was a monologue podcast. And I learned, 4 or 5 years ago, whenever I tried that, monologue podcasts are difficult. And to your point, Alexa flash brief, what I would end up doing is record and go, I messed up. Oh, I said the word let me go back and redo it. So it was like a 3-minute thing, of which 2 minutes is pre-recorded, but it still took me a half an hour to do it.
It would take longer to do one of those than it does to do one of these post-wise. Like, we've got this down to a fairly decent science, I feel like.
Pro tip, if you're going to start a podcast, have somebody you can converse with.
Yeah, because I do one that's solo, and I've abandoned it for the most part just because I've been too busy, but it's definitely hard to riff by yourself.
100%. So,
I got a question, though.
Yeah.
Have we had the same show music? Did we use the same show music on YouTube, or did we get new show music when we started the pod, and then we've used that the whole time, right?
I think we had a selection of 2 or 3 songs, and one of those 3 songs was actually one of the currents-ish. But then again, I do remember going to some stock royalty-free sites, and we picked out some that one day.
Yeah, but I feel like that action sports rock trailer, I think is what it's called. I feel like we've been sticking with that for quite some time.
It sounds so Nickelback, and I apologize, but it actually is pretty catchy.
I like it. I feel like it's part of our brand, so that's another thing you can hit us up on.
Speaking of which, did you see the tweet that Trump did with Nickelback, and YouTube Twitter immediately yanked it?
I thought that was because Nickelback made a copyright claim.
Right. So, I'm digressing. So, Trump threatens people, no big deal. Trump plays a Nickelback video, that thing was yanked within hours.
So does that get him a community guidelines strike or some kind of strike within the Twitterverse? Do they have those like on YouTube?
I was reading some article that says, okay, so now what? Trump, did all these things, now what? Long story short, Twitter can do whatever they damn well feel like, and the man drives people to the platform. So why would you ban him?
Well, I guess YouTube has that same God complex where it's their sandbox, they make the rules. But Yeah, I mean,
We've never really resolved that, right? Is a social media platform supposed to be completely open, or should it be curated by the platform owner, thus sort of controlling the content? Did we ever resolve that?
I don't think so, but we do have an episode where we talked about Jack Dorsey and those platform-esque rules when he was on JRE, right?
Yes, and how they can read your DMs and all this.
Yeah, I want to say that was in the 20s. Is that right? Or is that in the 30s?
I'll have to check the extensive catalog here by scrolling maybe twice here.
You might have to click to go to the next page. I did have to
It's somewhere in there.
view older podcasts.
Actually, it's episode 30. It's got the Joe Rogan character, and it was the backdoors because, it was part of that discussion.
Yes. So we did cover that. See, we're good.
So, where does that leave us with the rest of this episode, Bob?
Well, I feel like there's still questions to ask about, like highlights, lowlights. We've got kind of most of those.
What episode were you like, maybe we already asked this, but you're like, yeah, that's not going to work, and it totally flopped, or anything like that?
I don't know. I think we had more instances where I thought it was going to flop and it didn't. As far as like how we felt at the end of the episode, because, you know, the numbers are the numbers. There's almost no figuring them out. But I think one of the most important things is early on we kind of established that we weren't going to obsess about the numbers. The numbers are a good health indicator, and we've been on a pretty good rip the past few months.
Thank you, aliens.
Yes,
because
thank you.
as soon as we published episode 42, something happened, and now.
We've been able to maintain the pace, which is good. This month we might not, just because of my pure laziness, but since we're going to rattle off 3 episodes this week, maybe we'll get back in the good graces.
So for those keeping score at home, pro tip number 1: when you start a podcast, make it conversational with a guest. Number 2: talk about aliens.
And number 3: keep a good schedule, which we get in good flows, and then we get podcastus interruptus. And
It's called life, Bob.
Yes,
it's
it is
totally
called life.
okay, and no apologies, right?
how long of a break did we take when we both moved? I feel like that was a pretty big break.
We've had a longer break, I think. I mean, because you talking about when we moved in June-ish, July-ish?
Yeah.
That actually was well handled, I thought.
Did we stay stride?
Yeah, but there was, if I look at the numbers, there was early on in the podcast, we just kind of...
We had some we might give up breaks, yes.
Yes. I got to tell you, I was ready to quit YouTube because this is just too much effort, too little satisfaction. And then you turned me on to the podcast, and I'm like, yeah.
That was not nearly as hard to sell as I thought it was going to be, because you were really down about like content creation at that point.
Well, I mean, because I'm a video. I mean, I've got some video chops, and it runs in my family apparently. And then,
Shout out to Grant.
yep. So yeah, I mean, that was just my thing, and we always kind of equate video is greater than audio, but that's not true, to be honest, right?
That might be one of the biggest lessons I've learned through this whole experience, is that I think the world's starting to recognize this too, not just people, but like the business aspect, because podcasting, since we started doing this, yes, it was already getting popular before we did it, but really in the year since we started doing this, it's blown up, because Spotify really wasn't a podcast destination a year ago.
So sorry, Buggles, video did not kill the radio star.
Bungles?
The
Who was-
Buggles.
The Buggles.
The Buggles.
Wow, I would have failed that trivia question.
You remember when we used to do trivia on the YouTube?
Yes, but for those of you who know the show from back then, Kevin has kept up the tradition of trying to get Bob in a gotcha.
Yep.
And usually he does it right after I say 1, 2, record. He's like, so Bob, we didn't talk about this before the episode, but what do you think about insert controversy here?
Yeah. Well, I feel it's more like visceral and organic, because when someone turns on the podcast,
Oh, it's definitely visceral.
when someone turns on a podcast, the pleasantries, hey, how's it going? I'm doing all right. Hey, every podcast starts like this. Hey, I'm still doing fine. Thanks for asking. So I kind of like to come out swinging, if you will.
Do y'all think we're rude because we don't do the pleasantries ahead of time? Hit us up on Twitter at at Bob and Kevin Show.
Oh, remember when we used to do Twitter polls too? Yes, 2 people voted. Wait, were you one and I was the other? Damn it.
I've always tried to not tilt the numbers by doing those things, but another like honest confession and something that I'm actually pretty proud of. I didn't listen to the show much when we started it, and I definitely never really watched it when we were doing it on YouTube, but I do actually listen to the episodes now. One, to check audio quality to see how it stands up in various speaker, like, does it sound good on my Sonos? Does it sound good in the car? Does it sound good in my headset? So I do that. I don't listen to it 3 times and get 3 listens or downloads for that. I spread out an episode across those platforms. But I do it because I'm actually, sometimes when we're in the moment of the episode, it's hard to retain some of the knowledge that we're actually sharing. And it's kind of fun to listen back and be like, damn, he just said that.
Yeah, because sometimes you're trying to look for an article or supporting evidence or whatnot. Episode 23, Weight Loss Challenge. How is that one for you, Bob?
You got to eat more. You got to eat more. You got to eat the right stuff. You can't be picking up calories from candy.
Well, tell me if you're gonna hate me on this one. So I like celery, and I know celery is catabolic, right? Or not catatonic.
Yeah, it takes
catabolic.
more to burn than it is.
Right. So as a gosh, I got a craving right now to just eat something. I'll eat about 4 full celery stalks. And
dude, are you crapping bricks yet?
Not yet. But,
that's not gonna be good.
It shouldn't be bricks, right? There's a ton of fiber and all this stuff, so it's supposed to soften.
I don't know if you're packing in that much celery. I'm afraid you're gonna poop carpeting.
It's gonna clean me out, if nothing else. That's for sure.
So we'll probably give a little bit of update each
week. How is that one for you, Bob?
The experience was wonderful, and I just really wish I would have been able to keep off all the weight that I lost. But once again, life kind of happened, and I'm happy to say that I'm not above where I was when I started, but I am damn close to where we were when we started.
I think the first thing I said to Bob when I visited his apartment was, "Yep, I found all 20 pounds I lost. They're right here." Yeah, that was tough. But you know what? I can't believe we stuck with it.
We should probably fire that. What do you know the date on that?
November 8th.
Oh, we were coming up on the 1-year anniversary of the weight loss challenge then.
Yes.
So that was November through January. Is that right? It was 90 days, right?
It was. And we used a couple, MyFitnessPal, I think, right? Yeah. And I used some sort of, or my Fitbit watch, and it all worked. The only problem is it's like this. It's like kinetic energy. It's like you can hold the weight loss off until your arms get tired, and then it all falls right back on you.
My downfall was the same thing that landed me where I was to start, beer. And moving to Boulder, Colorado has not helped with the beer situation.
For me, it's probably pizza. I love pizza, and it loves to stick with me.
Yep. My Waistline, brought to you by Craft Beers of Colorado.
I'm starting to have diminishing returns on staying skinny because I've been married 13 years. I have 4 children. Kind of into other things other than looking like.
Well, it's just, it's damn hard when you get to be a certain age, and some of us are older than others. So,
yeah, just looking at young married couples, and they're like this, and then we're traveling, and we're going and working out every day at 6 a.m. together. I'm like, oh my God, that's so going to end at the first kid. That's over.
Then there's also, I would call it more of the real people in the world where, at our house, we have a saying, and it is fat is happy. And, when you're enjoying hanging out and doing the quote unquote lifecation type things, the pounds tend to come.
So I quit Facebook, Bob, but I think I did it before we started podcasting. You are still on Facebook.
Yes, I will always be on Facebook.
What has happened on Facebook in the last couple of years that I'm missing out on?
Well, I think the biggest thing that's been happening lately, because, we are in the never-ending election cycle, is the vitriol and hatred for the other has definitely spun up. Memes are at an all-time high.
So is it okay? I'm assuming it's person versus person, friend versus friend, right?
Right. Or if you're a member of a group, then somehow bot person gets in group, maybe bot person, maybe just idiot.
Right.
And they just start talking about stuff that the group isn't necessarily even about. I mean, it's, oh God, did we talk about another thing that's going on Facebook in the last 2 years is apparently the FBI is paying for ads to try to convince Russian spies to come to the not
flip.
dark side.
So how do you do that? So you're like, okay, log into Facebook, load up my account. Now I need to target Russian spies. Send.
I don't even know how that ad buy goes, but apparently the FBI is trying to do it. I would love to see. I mean, I'm sure that there's screen grabs them out there, but it's like, is it like big letters? Russian spy ? How about healthcare and something benefits? Come on over to the U.S. of A.
Feel like it's a job posting. Would you like to be a double agent? Click here to apply.
So yeah, that's the kind of fuckery that's still going on Facebook. Still lots of pictures of people's cats and dogs.
So at last check, when I was on there, it was the political things. It was a birthday tracker and kids.
Oh, still the birthday tracker.
Okay, so birthday
Still the
tracker and
kids thing.
kids and politics. So,
And pets. Don't forget pets. Pets are important.
So nothing's changed, is what you're telling me.
No, not a damn thing. And it was supposed to get better. I mean, like the the family stuff. I'm not saying that that's bad. That's going to be a forever thing. But it seems as politically advertised as last time.
So MySpace was usurped, if you will, by Facebook. There was certainly a lot less MySpacers out there, or whatever you would call them. Hi, Tom. But hey, we were friends.
Is Tom still on Facebook? He's
on
all
Facebook
by himself.
or
On MySpace, all by himself.
Well, I was shocked. Like not that long ago, in the last 5 years, MySpace was sold. I'm like, wait a second, it's still around.
Didn't
they
that
lost all those audio
singer dancer guy buy it? Justin Timberlake. I think he bought it.
I don't know. But my question for you is Facebook so ubiquitous that it's too big to fail?
Facebook is the coming of the end times. It's totally every Black Mirror episode has a Facebook style social media component to it, and Facebook is that component.
Can we agree social media is not a net positive? It's probably
at best
net negative.
At
maybe
best,
net neutral.
it's net neutral. At best,
yeah. So my wife uses Facebook, which is fine. I'm not gonna proselytize getting off Facebook. You want to be on Facebook?
Wait, but you're not one of those guys who uses Facebook vicariously through his wife, are you?
Well,
oh, Kevin,
to a
don't
point.
Disappoint me.
So I don't look over her shoulder or anything, but sometimes.
No, but you use her account.
No, nothing like that. What I'll do is, like, I made some wooden signs, and she posted a few on Facebook, and I was just curious. Hey, did you get any reactions? Stuff like that. And she's like, I got a couple. She showed me a comment and whatnot. But that's as close to Facebook as I get anymore.
That's like having your own social media manager, though. I could spin it that way. That's kind of cool.
Yeah. Hey, you want to run my Facebook for me, Bob?
No. Well,
no.
I would run your Facebook for you if you got back in. You might not like the person you've become on Facebook.
I do feel bad that I'm on Instagram because I know that that's a Facebook property, and I know that's feeding the machine. But God damn it, Federal Trade Commission, why did you allow them to buy them in the first place? Yada, yada, yada.
So, Instagram question for you. Do you actually look at people's stories, or do you just look at the stream of pictures?
So, Grant, my oldest boy, he and I have gone round this. He tries to explain what stories are, and I still have no idea what they are or how to use them. Half the time, I'm like, oh, yeah, there's their picture, and I go to click it, and it's their story. I'm like, no, I want to go to their profile, and I click it, and I'm like, how do I get their goddamn profile? And then I have to get the hourglass and search for their handle, and then finally I can get to their goddamn name. So, no, I don't like stories.
Old guy Kevin just came out. Wow.
Totally. Get off my lawn.
I like the stories. I mean, I probably spend more time in the stories than I do scrolling the pictures.
So what are the stories for?
Stories are just like you would expect with any story type book. It's a collection of images and text.
Isn't that what Instagram regular is?
But Instagram regular is Joe's picture and caption, and then Jane's picture and caption, and then Billy's dog picture and caption. So it's like it's disjointed. A story is just you. and you kind of have your audience captive. So successful Instagrammers will influencers will use that to, communicate brand messages for the people that they're getting paid by, their sponsors. But then also you just get a much deeper, a more contextual glimpse into their Instagram personas.
Hate it. Thanks for that explanation.
I knew you would. It's like when people thread their tweets, like they make their 280 character tweet and then they reply to themselves 27 times.
So I'm guilty of that, but it makes sense to me. Where the stories, it's like you get this like timer bar, then it like spins around, like to the next slide. I'm like, what is going on here? And then you're like into somebody else's story, but you're like, hey, wait, I wanted to see can I replay what was going on here? Because a lot of them are video. I just don't like it.
So to go back, you have to swipe the opposite direction.
I'm sure you do.
I'm sure you do. I don't want to know.
No, so Grant, he's very good at social media. Especially Instagram. I'm not so much. I feel like social media is just meant to just make me outraged.
Our show's social media is pretty weak these days because when I got a new phone, I never wired it back up, and so I pushed that on your shoulders too. And
what phone did you get?
Well, it's not a new phone. Yeah, I had to wipe it because remember when I had surgery and my brain went dead and I couldn't get into my phone.
Oh, that's right.
So when I rebuilt it, it's just an iPhone.
You know what?
Maybe.
You know what happened when I walked into Bob's apartment? I actually got to see the Bob and Kevin Show sticker for the first time in person.
Wow. Did you notice how Caroline totally shamed me in that regard too?
Totally.
What? You never sent them to him?
Never.
I'm lame.
That's right, listeners. Some of you have had the sticker longer than I have.
Kevin sends me stuff all the time, and I am such a dick and such a bad friend that I've never yet sent the stickers. But wasn't it so amazing when you got them?
It was amazing, and I've got a couple more nights of sleeping here, so I'm not going to say anything else bad. So I see you got the sign on the wall. So there's the official Bob and Kevin Show signed wall art.
Yes, it is made from actual real wood and screen printed and stained. Is that right?
Yes. We don't have an official color scheme. I mean, I guess we do we kind of have a black, white, and teal.
Yeah, we don't really have a branding guide.
I guess that color could be any color, right?
Yeah, it totally could.
So it's blue. It's like a navy something blue, maybe a little brighter.
But I like it because it's distressed. It's very nice.
That's good. And then we have 2, soon to be 3 Bob and Kevin Show shirts that exist in this universe. Probably infinite more shirts in other universes, but only 3 in this universe.
And I have to lose about 15 pounds before I can wear mine and and not be self-conscious.
That bad, huh?
Well, I'm that bad. Yes, I gotta.
Well, there's soon to be 4 shirts when I get Bob the next size.
XL. Wait, did you send me a large?
Yes.
It had to be pre-shrunk. It's really slim fit. Must be European large.
Oh yeah, what's up with Europeans and sizing? We can't get temperature Celsius and Fahrenheit. We've got millimeters and inches, and now we have shirt sizes can't even agree. Jeez.
No. Well, apparently women have that issue from style to style, brand to brand, everywhere. So
well, they have different curves to deal with in general. So
yeah, but I went shopping with Caroline, thrift shopping a couple weeks ago, and I'm like, and I'm holding 2 pair of pants. They're the same exact size, and they look like for completely 2 different people. I'm like, how do you shop? She's like, thank you.
So, what's the most frustrating topic that we've ever talked about on the show?
Frustrating topic?
Like a topic you're like, oh my God, I've got to rant about this shit.
I get pretty ramped up about the Facebook, YouTube, Twitter fuckery. So I definitely have issues with that. I got a little frustrated with the tech of sex, one of our most recent episodes, just because some of the things I was discovering.
Are you sexually frustrated about?
Well, how do I answer that question? No, but I was frustrated with the way that industry is impacting the way humans have relationships. So that was pretty frustrating.
So you're frustrated that it's are you saying it's having a negative effect?
Yes, like in China and Japan. Japan in particular, it's become so normalized that these dolls are basically replacing human-to-human interaction with human-to-doll relationships, and that's very bizarre to me.
Ooh, quick follow-up. I did see the Whitney Cummings Netflix special.
Can I touch it?
That was very good.
Great title.
And I've also seen the Fire
Festival.
Those are both good watches.
Did we do an episode on Fire Festival, or did we just mention it?
We just mentioned
Okay.
it. You'd asked me about it, but I hadn't seen it. All right, so for me, the most frustrating topic I think we've ever talked about, and it still frustrates me to this goddamn day, is flat earthers. Oh my God.
Did we do a whole episode on flat Earth? We did. Why didn't that get a bunch of likes? What is ringing?
I think it's, I don't know, is it my phone? Your phone?
It's not mine. Where is your phone?
All right.
Wow. All right. Well,
Sorry.
we don't normally have to deal with that when we're recording cross country from each other.
What the hell? Anyway, flat earthers.
Did we do a flat Earth
We
episode?
did yeah.
How did that not get a bunch of hits?
I don't know. I think maybe it did.
It
But I
actually
guess
did really well on YouTube, which is crazy.
Yeah, we got some comments there too. But have you ever gone on YouTube and searched for flat earths? Oh my God.
No, I try not to.
A lot of times I'm open to, it's possible you make some good arguments. The flat earthers are just fucking trying to fuck with us, and it's so working. So that's my most frustrating. That and maybe Alex Jones, just.
Yeah, Alex Jones is pretty frustrating.
I guess the topic wasn't too bad, but we had asked ourselves, would we have Alex on the show? We, of course, said.
Yes.
No, I think we said no, Bob. We said no.
Wait, Alex Jones is always here.
Oh, we have our own in-studio Alex Jones.
Interdimensional child molesters.
So what topic haven't we done?
Well, that was the question that I had on my list is,
Okay.
looking forward. So we're 50 episodes looking back, and now looking forward 50 episodes. What kind of stuff do you think, if you had a crystal ball, what kind of stuff do you think we're going to talk about in the next 50 episodes?
Sometimes I don't know what topic we have until a juicy one comes along. Aliens was great, Moon Tech was great, the Matrix was great.
I thought Libra was great too.
Yes, I thought encryption was great. So I like talking about philosophical tech, meaning to steal Jeff Goldblum from I think it's Jurassic Park or The Fly, I can't remember. Just maybe, or it's Jurassic Park. Maybe the scientists should stop and think instead of can we do this, should we do this?
Right. Just because we can doesn't mean we should.
Right. And I really feel that the tech industry is infected with narcissistic tech CEOs. Mark Zuckerberg, I'm looking at you. And so I kind of like going down that route. I also really, really, really like science, physics. So we've had some Sean Carroll topics, Neil deGrasse Tyson topics. The whole idea that science is just a really good guess at a lot of things, but it, doesn't know mostly why we're here. I know we haven't. Should we mention what we have in the pipeline coming, or
No.
okay?
Because we'll record it tomorrow.
Okay. So that kind of stuff. What about you? What kind of?
I'm looking forward to maybe an exercise, the tech of exercise and nutrition, because I think we kind of talked on that a little bit, but that was about us in particular when we were doing the weight loss challenge.
Right.
So I'd like to take a look at that industry as a whole. I know we're going to do AI because that's going to be getting more and more of a topic for discussion, more and more research, more and more results. I think in the very near future we're probably going to have another episode about deep fakes, because I think that rolling into 2020, I think that that's going to become a thing.
I saw on the Internet of Shit handle on Twitter a trash can that walks itself out to the curb.
Oh, I did see that as well.
Kind of cool, kind of creepy.
But why?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, if we fast forward 20 years from now, I guess I want to make a prediction. We're going to have a bunch of gadgets, kind of like, it's like scenes from Return of the Jedi where you have these robots in Jabba's palace that are kind of defunct and half working. They're just going to be littered everywhere. Your trash can's going to be stuck running into a tree, backing up, running into a tree. And, that's what I think the next 20 years.
I have a box full of Echo Dots that I'm not using anymore because all of my new speakers are connected.
And what do you do with a box of Echo Dots, right? Do you try
Shuffleboard?
Do you try to sell them?
They're like $5 now.
Right. So so technology and being, I guess, green, if you will. It's kind of hard, Apple looking at you, Amazon looking at you, to say, you know what, we've got all this technology and you can't repair it, or we make it cheap enough, like in the case of Amazon, where there's no value to recycle it, right?
Well, I mean, you can't resell it, but you probably could send it someplace to be recycled, ?
With a great amount of effort, probably, right?
Right.
Or cost.
Yeah, on somebody's end. I mean, I know we've had issues with general recycling where people aren't taking our shit anymore to recycle it. So there's going to be a head that's going to come to existence there pretty soon too.
So Microsoft had an event recently. We haven't talked about this on the show.
No, we have not.
So they unveiled earbuds and they unveiled Surface books, and you're going to have to explain to me the different lines of Surface things. And then they had the thing called the Duo, and I'd mentioned to you that the Duo kind of looks like an old Nintendo DS, but it was two distinct screens, and I mentioned to you that I thought, man, I think this is, or at least I tweeted it, I think this is the best example of foldable tech that I've seen so far. What say you?
I'm not a giant fan of foldable tech, period, but I was very impressed. I don't think they needed to.
He's sitting across from me with a laptop.
Well, but my
That
screen,
folds in half.
but my screen doesn't fold. But
Okay, imagine you had a screen in the keyboard area,
yeah,
and it was a soft keyboard.
I'm not
Okay.
I'm not really feeling it.
All right.
That's why I was pretty shocked that they had the big one and the baby one. I'm like, wow, really? So you just shrunk one prototype and now you have two products? Plus, it's running Android, the small one. I don't know. We need to save that one for a whole episode.
I have an Android phone right here that interrupted the
rudely
show.
interrupted our show, yes.
Yes, exactly. I thought the Duo was neat. If you're gonna have something fold, I don't like the idea of having an actual screen bend 180 degrees, because I just think that, I'm looking at this, something that isn't meant to fold 180 degrees, and we're like willing ourselves, no, it will. I will not stop until we make it do that.
Snap.
I think curved screens are nice in monitors. I think curved televisions aren't too bad. They're a little kind of faddish, but yeah, I don't think the screen needs to fold in half infinite number of ways. You can only fold a piece of paper at most 7 times, and maybe screens you can only fold zero times. Yeah, exactly. So
No, I mean, I think it represented well. I can't see myself purchasing one ever, but, maybe somebody will. Who knows?
what about the ear Surface Pods? Before you go, though, do we have to call everything I something or Surface something?
Branding is important.
Shoot me now.
It is. When you hear I, it's Apple. When you hear Surface now,
But
it's
not
Microsoft.
necessarily true. You can go to like a TJ Maxx or a Target, and they have like iHome, whatever, and it's like this other brand.
Right.
You put your iPod in there, which you can't even, I mean, I guess you can buy an iPod these days, but who owns an iPod only these
Can
days?
you buy iPods?
You can get an iPod Touch.
Still.
I don't know, because my kids all have used ones, so maybe you can't. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I associate the I. You're right, though. It's not ubiquitous to Apple, but
I remember a certain CMS where every plugin started with the letter U.
oh yeah, branding. Branding's important. Naming things is hard. You and
Naming
I
things is
both
really
said
hard.
that, along with every other developer on the entire planet.
So I had made a cheeky comment on the interwebs. The AirPods look like cigarettes hanging out of your ears, and the new Surface Buds, I don't even know what they're really called,
I think they're called Surface earbuds.
look like
Surface Buds.
Look like, if you were to like catch a wild animal out in the out in the wilderness, tag their ear and say, go on, and then you track their migration through the Arctic or something. That's what the Microsoft ones look like.
I think they looked like misaligned gauges.
Oh,
like
piercings?
gauges in your ears.
Oh, yes.
But like just skewed up. So, yeah. Yeah.
You remember those things we used to wear in our ear? Like it would clip on top of your ear, and you touch the button, and you could do a voice dial, and you touch it again, and it looked like
Yeah.
It's like a Motorola or something.
Yeah, your headset.
Those look stupid then, and just because they're Apple, Microsoft doesn't mean they look any less stupid, in my opinion. That's just
I never got into the little ear control units, so I don't know.
It was always sales guy, getting out of his like Chrysler 300 or something like, hey man, he's got like this really overly tight silk shirt on, he's cutting a deal. Oh well.
I think I'd see myself. Apparently, Amazon has some now too, though. Echo Buds or whatever they call them, Echo earbuds.
Do you have anything Bluetooth that's more not what we're wearing right now, which is full on Cyberman headsets here? Oh, he's getting something.
Yeah, maybe it's kind of tangled.
Okay, I can see. Yep. So
Yeah, so I have the these are the Planatronics. I don't know what they're called, but I love them. They're great for working out.
So during Black Friday, there will be almost an unlimited number of choices of Bluetooth tethered, meaning a wire between the two of them, during Black Friday for $25.
Oh yeah.
I got some for myself, got some for the wife. They are more than adequate. Did I mention they're $20 or $25? I can't lose the left one or the right one because they're not, they are tied together, so I'm going to lose them both. When I want to take one out, I don't just kind of got to hold it, I can just let it drape around my neck. All I'm saying is just because it was brought to you by Apple and or Microsoft does not make it better. But I will give you this. It will make it more expensive.
Yeah, my daughter loves her AirPods, so.
Oh, man.
I know.
The infection has started in the baby bar family.
Oh, yeah.
I
She's a
think
slave.
Grant has them, too. So.
She's a slave to tech, for sure.
Yeah, I think the wife was looking on for the 11-year-old, but I'm going to pump the brakes on that.
Oh, for 11-year-old? Yeah, no. Nope, not at all.
So Microsoft, I think that was the gist of their event, but it did have a very homey feel that somebody on Twitter mentioned. He's like, we're waiting for the guy to do a magic trick because he totally had the magician vibe. And
He was doing hands too. He was like,
look, my hands are empty. The proof, Oh, I'm holding a coin all of a sudden. I'm holding an ear pod in my left hand.
he was Mr. Dramatic Pause too. He was like the keys on a piano.
He reminded me of like a Carl Sagan, like talking about the cosmos.
A little bit.
And I'm like, what? Oh my gosh.
It's like they had somebody taking notes at an Apple event and said, we are going to do everything 180 degrees from what Apple did. We're going to have the speaker speak way too long. We're going to have him wandering around through the audience because, of course, apparently they only had 45 people at the event. I'm sure it was more, but
it
that's
looked
what
like it was being broadcast from my local public library.
Yeah, like a small intimate comedy show.
And then the only thing I think was different, or the same with Apple event, it was the videos. It's like this overly zoomed in, overly glossy, reflective, like flyover of this techno. It's got to be the same advertising agency playing both sides, right?
It's interesting the way Microsoft now is
stealing ideas.
Well, all right, that part is
that's
maybe
never happened. Zune, Bing.
Yeah.
Okay, the list goes on.
But even like in the branding, that they're trying to be the creator's creation tool, and that's where Apple started 100 years ago.
So let's talk about Apple real quick because they got the credit card. I think they've hit saturation on the hardware, and they're trying to go down the digital. Digital products are basically zero effort.
Well, they want to make money while they sleep, just like everyone else.
I can't blame them.
Right.
So, but it is interesting that they've had to shift from this. We're an amazing hardware company to everyone's got one. They're keeping it longer. Now we got to do this like digital thing. So that's kind of interesting. And Microsoft's always tried to have like the Windows 10 store. Have you ever gotten anything from the Windows 10 store on purpose?
Well,
without work saying, "Hey, you need to go download."
Right?
this.
No,
Okay.
we're not allowed to do that.
Okay.
At the work machine, but the personal machine, I think I got Skype from the Windows 10 store. And something, I think the Sonos app was there as well.
I think I got the Windows or the Linux subsystem from there because you can do Linux commands in Windows now. But
Notice how much more street cred Kevin has in the programming culture. Oh yeah, I got 2 toys. I got an actual tool.
Well, I'm just saying, I don't like the Windows 10 store because if you install an app through there, I feel like you're in like Willy Wonka world. Like I don't think it shows up in your control panel, and it's just like how do I get rid of this now?
Well, you go to the store and you uninstall.
But I just don't like the disjointedness.
Wow, this is really getting off on a tangent.
Yeah. We're talking about what again? Podcast? Bobby
Yeah,
Kevin Show?
we're looking back at 50 episodes, and we've talked a lot of shit in there. So I guess this does still fit. But we're about an hour and 13 in, minus a minute from the rude interruption from the cell phone. So.
All right, so I guess that's my cue to wrap this thing up, right?
Yeah. Any parting thoughts on a look back on 50 episodes?
Let's see. I hope
The top 5 things that you would tell a future podcaster, because I think that's what we're going to name this episode.
the top 5 things. Make it conversational. Try to get a guest if you can, or have a really good co-host. How many? Oh, it's only like
That's
2. Be consistent. Have zero expectation that it's going to be anything other than just you and somebody else talking, because that's all it is. And then lastly, do your best to put some actual effort into the quality of it, because I have stopped listening to one of our own episodes before because I'm like, oh my gosh, my microphone. What the fuck is going on with my microphone? And you feel dejected because you can't re-record it. You're like, fuck it, just power through it, man. Sorry, Bob. It's all right.
Well, we've both done that, though. I accidentally recorded on my laptop mic once. So.
Episode 030 for reference.
Oh, that was the one?
That was the one, because it was one of our most popular. I'm like, damn. Well,
yeah, but I think audio quality is important. Those are good 5. I'm very happy with you saying don't expect it to be more than just a conversation. You've come a long way.
Well, I think the internet culture these days is all you got to do is watch these 3 YouTube videos and you'll be famous too.
Yep.
And that's such bullshit. What about you? Do you have any 5 takeaways? I guess maybe I stole all the good ones.
No, I think you nailed it on the head. And I think I kind of layered in there that the audio quality is, I think it's not of paramount importance, but you can, if your content's great and your audio quality's not, you might lose listeners.
Yes, 100% agree. All right, Bob, I think we just got one more piece of business to do, and we're going to
possibly bring the lightning for the very last time.